I've also heard that it evolved because that Lindy Hop was too devilishly difficult, and it wasn't really something that the masses could learn very quickly, and that actors and actresses couldn't learn it very quickly, so it just wasn't great for film.
What is Lindy Hop? Where does it come from? What's the history behind it?
Yeah. So Lindy Hop, and also I feel like maybe your knowledge of Lindy Hop is probably somewhat similar to my knowledge of Lindy Swing in the ballroom community. So put together our brains here, and we can kind of figure out what it all is. But the Lindy Hop is a dance that I know is what inspired triple swing, single swing, Lindy swing that's done in dance studios, ballroom dance studios. It started in the late 1920s, like 27, 28. There isn't really a good solid story as far as how it started. I think a lot of it is just passed down orally. Um, One of the more popular legends of how it got its name was that there was a dancer who was interviewed by a newspaper who saw him dance, Shorty George Snowden, um, and they asked him what the dance was, what he was doing. It's just like a lot of quick movement with the feet, a lot of just having the girl fly out several times. And he had seen a recent news article about Charles Lindbergh hopping the Atlantic, and so he just called it the Lindy Hop, and that's the name that stuck. Whether or not this is true, I don't know, but it's a story that a lot of folks have been throwing around for a long time, and so that's kind of what I think has stuck, just because it has a lot of zing to it, as it were. Um, it is a devilishly difficult dance to learn, and a lot of what you would learn in one workshop in one region might actually be very different than what you would learn in a different region. The structure of it is going to be the same. A lot of the use of momentum and energy is going to be the same, but the aesthetic isn't going to be codified like you might see in ballroom dances. So there might be a specific way and this is where I could be wrong, but in ballroom, they might teach a very specific thing that you're supposed to do, or like sets of moves, and
Mhm.
then you have to do those specific sets of moves to be able to move on to the next level, something like
Yep.
that.
Yep.
Okay, cool. So there isn't anything like that in Lindy Hop, and I when I teach my classes, the curriculum that I have is something that I've put together. That I've also I didn't make it up per se, but it's just from taking other classes from other instructors. I'm inspired by a lot of other really well-known dancers that I've worked with, like Peter Strom, Naomi Uyama. They're dancers from Minneapolis that teach internationally as well. They have a really great curriculum, and so I'm inspired by a lot of these other instructors for with their curriculum, and then I can kind of change it as needed, just to kind of teach the things that I feel like are important for beginner Lindy Hoppers to have in their belt. But something that I teach here could be completely different from the path that Lindy Hoppers would have, or some of the curriculum that they would have over in Minneapolis. So in that sense, some people might call it like a street dance, a
Mhm.
street swing dance, because it's not codified in that manner. I know that it became that there was an offshoot of Lindy Hop that became East Coast Swing or Eastern Swing back in the 1940s, early 1940s,
40s, 50s,
when
somewhere around there.
when Arthur Murray kind of decided that, hey, this is actually becoming a really big deal. I want to be able to like put these steps to numbers and sell it, and be able to get other instructors to teach this, and have people compete with this kind of dance. And I think that's where Lindy Swing or East Coast Swing, that kind of dance, had evolved. I've also heard that it evolved because that Lindy Hop was too devilishly difficult, and it wasn't really something that the masses could learn very quickly, and that actors and actresses couldn't learn it very quickly. So it just wasn't great for film, unless you were actually a Lindy Hopper and you had grown up doing that. So I think there are a lot of reasons why that offshoot for ballroom came about. And I feel like that's kind of the dance that I had started out with, East Coast Swing, or Jitterbug, some people might call it too, in 2003. And that's what I had done for a few years before I even knew what Lindy Hop was. So to kind of give everyone a general idea, it took me about 5 years before I felt more comfortable with the actual basic of Lindy Hop, which is called the swing out. Um, you can learn the swing out in a, yeah, I know, right?
That makes me
This is
so
probably
feel
scaring everyone away.
so much better about my experience, my limited experience with Lindy.
Yeah. So hopefully I won't scare everyone away. And maybe we can talk about that these days. I think it's a lot easier to learn because I think YouTube was 2005, and I probably didn't even get into it until probably after that. But it's just kind of like trying to look at what people are doing and then trying to figure it out for yourself.
Hmm.
And then the fact that everyone's got slightly different ways that they do the swing out, the Lindy Hop basic, that you kind of have to pick and choose for like your body type, what feels the best with every partner that you're dancing with. So being able to adapt to the different social situations, I think. So it took quite a long time for me to figure out what felt good to me for the swing out. And even my dance partner, Irina Hamzashvili, she has a different uh, kind of teaching method or structure that she thinks about with the swing out than I do, which I
Hmm.
think is great. Just because, again, there's just so many different ways to think of the theory and to teach it.
That's
Um,
awesome.
Hope that answers your question.
No, no, that definitely does. That definitely does. And I'd also say, again, coming from kind of a ballroom mindset, um, do you have a separate umbrella term for kind of the group of dances that come out of that same era? Or is it just broadly Lindy Hop and then also Charleston and Balboa kind of get like put in the same grouping, but there's not
Mhm.
an overarching term for it?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So there have been a lot of terms that are kind of thrown around, and I think a lot of those terms are being put under the microscope in this day and age. I think with the Black Lives Matter movement, I mean, we all know that swing dancing and Lindy Hop comes from a African American culture, African American history.
Mhm.
It's a uniquely African American dance, and we want to be able um, to respect that and pay homage to the fact that it comes from a very difficult time, the 1920s, for African Americans. So there are certain terms that are kind of, I think the Lindy Hop community as a whole are trying to stop using or start using. One thing that's kind of in conversations right now is calling it vernacular jazz. I think a lot of folks are trying to move away from the term vernacular jazz. Um, so I think right now folks are just calling it jazz dancing or swing dancing, which I know is a very, very big umbrella term. So Lindy Hop, I think if you were just to say Lindy Hop, that probably will refer to Lindy Hop and Charleston. Lindy Hop is based on Charleston. Charleston is a much older dance that also might even have roots from Africa. Um, and then there's a lot of other kind of predecessors to Lindy Hop that kind of meshed together. So it's just basically a lot of people back in the 1920s seeing bits and pieces of social dancing and putting them all together. So I guess the history of that again becomes very unclear because it's all
Mhm.
very oral. Um, Balboa and other types of swing dances. I mean, we again can just call that as part of under the swing dance umbrella. But you'll see dance events that are just specifically for Balboa. Like, for example, California Balboa Classic is one of the biggest ones. That's in Pasadena or Southern California. Um, and that was a dance that I don't believe actually came from Lindy Hop. It was derived from a different dance, but I think they have uh, kind of intertwined history. Um, I won't go too much into that because I'm not really an expert in Balboa nor its history, but uh, there are events that combine both Lindy Hop and Balboa, and then there's also events if you just call it like a Lindy Hop event, people will still sometimes do Balboa there, but Charleston will also be included. There's no such thing as like a Charleston event.
Mhm.
I think a lot of folks just kind of incorporate Charleston into their Lindy Hop dancing. So if you were to say Lindy Hop, then I think that already kind of includes Charleston in there. Then there's a
Gotcha.
bunch of other lesser known swing dances, a lot of different types of shag.
I was gonna
So
say
there's
Shag was another one that was coming to my mind as like, I wonder where this fits into the whole puzzle.
yeah, and there's a lot of different types of shag too. So collegiate shag is another dance that kind of is doesn't really fit into either of those umbrellas, like Balboa and Lindy Hop, because there's like collegiate shag events, but it's a small enough kind of dance. It's not as well known that sometimes they might combine it with Lindy Hop or Balboa events. Um, that's a dance. If you just look up collegiate shag on YouTube, I feel like that's probably the best way for you to figure out what it is. It's a very, it's a more high energy dance that is a little bit more bouncy, a little more upright than Lindy Hop. Balboa, I think, is a lot of folks might describe it as smoother or elegant. Um, and then there's also Carolina shag, which is much different than collegiate shag. And I think maybe it's a little bit closer, more closely related to West Coast swing,
Um,
in that a lot of West Coast swing dancers do it.
I may be completely off base in this, and if I am, please by all means correct me.
Hmm.
The only thing that I have ever been told about Carolina Shag is it was created so that you could hold a cocktail in one hand and dance with your partner.
I don't know if I've specifically heard that. Natalia, who is back there, would probably be able to tell you way more about Carolina Shag than me. She does that. I know very little about it, but that sounds like it could be correct. It's very, very little upper body movement and a lot of lower body movement, and essentially, it's a dance to showcase the lead, typically the male, the lead's footwork. Um, so it's just kind of like the lead peacocking. I
Mm.
think that's really one of the main things that you'll see if you were to watch a Carolina Shag dance or routine. So it's a lot of really fast finesse type, uh, smooth leg movement, um, and I would imagine that you could hold a cocktail in your hand while doing it too. Whether or not it was invented for that purpose, I wouldn't be able to confirm or deny.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair
Yeah.
enough.
And then lastly, West Coast Swing. So West Coast Swing was another offshoot of Lindy Hop. Um, that is also that's a dance that I'm a little bit more familiar with, but I'm less familiar with the history of it. I believe it started more around the 1950s, and I think it used to be called Western Swing. And so that's why a lot of folks, when they sometimes if I say that I swing dance, they'll be like, "Oh, do you do West Coast Swing or East Coast Swing?" And I'm like,
Yep.
and then I'd have to launch into this 30-minute thing that I just talked to you about. No, I'm just kidding.